Hey guys, welcome back to Caroline Drinks Wine. In today's episode, we're going to be discovering two wonderful springtime wines from Buitenverwachting. We're going to be tasting the Blanc, current vintage 2016, and their Blanc de Noir, also from the current vintage. So before we get tasting, I thought I'd give you a little bit of information about Buitenverwachting. Buitenverwachting is located in the Constantia wine route. So if you're familiar with Table Mountain, which I'm sure most of you are, Constantia's just sort of tucked away next to it, and it's a beautiful pine forested valley, and Buitenverwachting is sort of nestled away sort of off the main Constantia Valley wine route. Really beautiful farm, and they make some absolutely exquisite wines. They've also recently done up their tasting room, and you can go there, and they've got a wonderful restaurant and a cafe and lawns you can recline on with a picnic basket and a glass of wine. Anyway, Constantia is one of the oldest wine growing regions in South Africa, and the Constantia estate was set up in the late 1600s by Simon van der Stel. Simon van der Stel was the then governor of the Cape, and it's where the town Stellenbosch got its name. Let's get on to the wine tasting. So we'll start with the Blanc, and this is a blended wine, but it's mainly Sauvignon Blanc, which is probably one of the most popular white varietals in South Africa. And they've also added a splash of Semillon. So, nice. Fairly pale colour. And instantly I'm getting those sort of typically Sauvignon Blanc aromas like gooseberries and grassiness, and even a touch of grapefruit in there. It's a really nice medium-bodied wine, and even though the acidity is nice and fresh, it's still more of a sort of creamy acidity than a intensely mouth-watering acidity, which some of the Sauvignon Blancs out there can do. So I'm also picking up on a bit of grapefruit on the palate. Again, those grassy notes, a little bit of gooseberries. There's also minerality in there, which I think goes really, really well in a Sauvignon Blanc, especially to counteract, you know, those really intense fruity aromas. Tiny bit of tropical aromas coming through as well, but again, they're not overbearing. They're not those sort of unctuous and overripe characteristics that a couple of Sauvignon Blancs can be like. Really, really lovely drinking wine, perfect daytime wine, will go with food, absolutely will, and it's very Moorish, which is a fantastic characteristic of a wine. Okay, I'll set my Blanc down there for later. Let's go on to the Blanc de Noir. So Blanc de Noir is literally translated from the French as white from black. So it's basically making a white or a rosé from black grapes. So this is, I like to call this a Bordeaux blend rosé. So it's got Cabernet Sauvignon, Merlot, and Cabernet Franc. Let's pour some out. And that beautiful neon color, sort of slightly orangey as well as pink. Quite a subtle nose, but you can almost smell the acid. It's a very sort of tangy, raspberry-like smell happening there. Detecting a slight metallic aroma in there as well, and berry coulis. But again, these aromas are very subtle. They're not sort of like whooshing into your face and making you feel slightly dizzy. It's very interesting because I've tried this rosé on several occasions, and each time it actually tastes slightly different to me. I don't know whether it's the lunar calendar affecting the taste of the wine, or maybe it's just the fact that I'm tasting the wine after the bottle's been open for a different number of days. But anyway, it tastes fantastic now. Sort of the acid on this is definitely a lot more sort of sprightly and tart than the acid on the Blanc. So, you know, you could almost say this is more of a refreshing wine. So those sort of berry aromas I picked up on the nose, they don't hugely dominate the wine. I'd say this wine has more of a mineral edge. So that slight metallic note I was picking up on the nose also coming through. Yeah, just perfect sunshine wine. And as luck would have it, I was rooting around my grandparents' wine collection and I discovered this ancient bottle of Blanc fumé, which literally means smoked white. It doesn't mean they've smoked it, but it is a white wine, Sauvignon Blanc, that's been aged in barrels. So the smoky part just comes from the fact that this wine's been aged in oak barrels. And this is the 1991 vintage, and you know, white wines aren't designed to be drunk 25 years after they were made, but my grandparents have been drinking it anyway because they prefer old wine. And I just thought it would be fun to pour out a little bit and show you what a 25-year-old white wine looks like. Oh wow, that colour. So there you go, it's acquired a sort of amber colour, very beautiful. And it's got those, well, I think they're gorgeous sort of port aromas, the nuttiness, the yeastiness, almost like a saltiness as well. Let's give it a taste. Okay, it's not quite drinking material anymore, unfortunately. Very bitter, but the finish is actually really good. That, you know, lovely buttery nuttiness. But anyway, there you go guys, 2 wonderful wine recommendations to celebrate the incoming springtime. Hope you've enjoyed the video. Please let me know what you think in the comments below, and I'll see you next time.